John from Fulshire has a question about a dusty AC.
Well, he heard you talk about balancing to reduce dust. Yeah, yes. John writes, you're talking about too much dust in the house and the HVAC system may need to be balanced. And my home, he says, is constantly accumulating dust. And even though I have all hardwoods, throughout the first floor, the dust persists. So, Tom, John wants to know, what tips you have in getting this system balanced? What's involved in that?
It's usually as simple as just putting a fresh air return in to the system. So the fresh air return will add the air that's being lost through the ductwork. And when you have a ductwork problem that causes a dust problem, it's usually because you have leaky ducts. And you can't find all the leaks and fix all the leaks. It's impossible. But if you put a fresh air return in the attic and bring in fresh air from there instead of from infiltration through the walls and the chimney and the cooktop exhaust and things of that nature, it's going to control that infiltration, and it'll put it through a filter, so it'll clean it. It'll cool it or heat it, depending what time of year it is. And that way, by the time it gets to the interior of the house, it's conditioned and filtered. And so it'll replace, if it's 10%, it'll replace 10%. If it's 20%, it'll replace the 20%. And that way, you're not pulling in that infiltration from the outside that's full of dirt and dust and debris. You're actually cleaning the infiltration, and it's called controlled infiltration. You're bringing it in nice and clean. It really does a lot of good. And a lot of people kind of poo-poo it, and they shouldn't, because I've been putting it on homes for years. I have it on my own.
There's a difference between a return and a fresh air return.
Yes, fresh air is coming from the outside. A return air in the house is circulating the air in the house. So there is a difference, and people do mix those up. And you can go way overboard, and you can have an energy recovery system, which is thousands of dollars. And all that is a fresh air return that is way too fancy, way too mechanical, and it's unnecessary in a simple home system.
So I've seen you talk about this where you literally put a stocking over the pipe, or a simple
piece of filter, over the pipe. And the pipe is nothing but a 4-inch Lamaflex.
Okay.
It's the same thing you'll see behind the dryer vents, the little flexible silver tubes.
And you just run that into the plenum?
You run it into the plenum of the return air.
Okay.
And then you mine hang from underneath the ridge vent. So they're pulling air from outside through the ridge vent and going through, and then it's controlling it that way. I know people say, well, the air's hot up there. Yeah, but it's going to get cooled before it gets in the house. And it's a small amount of air unless you got a giant hole somewhere in your ductwork. And that, of course, you need to fix.
You said something that intrigues me. You say that it's Lamaflex and it's hanging by your ridge vent, so there's no penetration for this.
No penetration. Even in new homes, when we were doing it, we would just lay it down and put it next to the soffit vent.
Okay.
And that's exactly how you exhaust in your bathroom vents. You just put them by the soffit vent. You don't want all those penetrations because that could cause a leak.
And we'll fill in the holes in your questions when you send them to us at HomeShowRadio.com.
Or you can watch more answers here. Be sure and subscribe.